So I have no plans for exactly what this video is. I just know what the topic is, which is current state of MCU television. I'm just recording on my phone. This is going to be completely unprofessional because my microphone broke. It just stopped working. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. I'm very upset about it. So I just got to use my phone. It can be very minimal editing here. I'm just going to spitball here. So this video was meant to be filmed a while ago, but I just couldn't find the time to do it with privacy and well-made acoustic roofs. I don't know. There was just not a place. There was just not a time and place to do it. So we're here to talk about two main things. We have Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I'll start with that. It's going to take a little bit longer. So my main things about this season is that it's generally better than last season. It generally is. And I was very harsh on the last season, and I'm also very harsh on this one, but I have to give credit where it's due. There was some good stuff here. I didn't hate all of it like I did last season. Only thing is, the only way that any of this is good is if you completely ignore the fact that none of it should be able to be possible, because Fisk should be in jail. So, yeah. I mean, if you ignore that part, there are still some pretty cool things here. It's unfortunate that it seems like all TV shows are parodying the U.S. politician system. It's getting old. It's not entertaining. And it's what a way to reduce Wilson Fisk as a character. However, it does have comic book background, so I'm also exercising lenience on behalf of that. But the ending, I can't excuse it. It makes no sense. Thematically, I loved it. I was like, oh, this is cool. Fisk is free, but he's exiled from New York, which is the prison. He's not allowed where he loves. That's his home. That's his place. If he's not in New York, then he's not at home. That's fine. I love that idea. But there's just one tiny thing, and it's that right before the deal right after the deal is offered, dude opens the door and goes, bam, bop, to a bunch of fucking random civilians in the middle of the courthouse, and it's just laying them out. He's just running through there like Thanos. It's like he has super strength. He's laying bodies down on camera in a government building. They're dying. Blood all over his suit. He had a white suit that has a red shirt now because of how much blood is on him. And he's walking out, big man, walking out the fucking door right in front of this crowd. And he starts punching more people. And Daredevil, Matt Murdock, who revealed his identity, which, by the way, I'm going to give the green light on that. I like that. It removed the one thing the Fisk had over him, which was a major plot hole. I didn't like it. Fisk, the second Vanessa died, should have revealed it. I guess there's some leniency there because he was grieving, so he didn't do it, and he was planning his next moves. So the good thing is that they got rid of that thing that he had over Matt as soon as possible. As soon as it was like he should be using this to take down Matt, they got rid of it. They took it out of the equation because the only reason he was keeping the secret was because Matt promised to have Vanessa go to prison if his identity was revealed. So Vanessa dies, he has no threat over him anymore, so why not reveal his identity? But they handled that well. Anyway, he walks out of here. Matt reveals his identity in court. Perfect execution. Love that. Well timed as well. And dude takes his mask off and is stopping people from running into this massacre that is happening on top of, once again, the staircase in a government building. He walks up and he stops everyone. He's like, stop! Takes his mask off. Stop! Stop running towards the fucking silverback gorilla at the top of the stairs. Don't do that. And he gets to him. There's no fight, which is fine, but he kneels down and he says, take the deal. Take the deal? After everything? What do you mean just take the deal? He doesn't even put a little two-piece on him. He's just like, nah, take the deal. I'm sick of this. If you don't take this deal, it's just gonna keep happening. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's some belief and reasoning to that, but not even like a jab crawl, like not even a little bit of action. He's not about that action anymore. He doesn't even throw a punch, and he just talks him down. That's not the relationship these two have. And also, how this is the most brutal Fisk. This is the most brutal thing that Fisk has ever done. Just senselessly murdering innocent civilians. Now, I mean, there's an argument to be made. Are they innocent? They stormed the Capitol building. I would say, kind of. I would say, in this case, not to get too political here. This is a fictional world. I'm gonna say they're mostly innocent, and that I don't think they deserve this at all. I don't think they deserve being thrown against the wall and turned into red paint. So I'm going to say this is the most brutal thing he's ever done. He's running through and killing a bunch of people he does not need to kill. And he's doing it for fun. He's doing it because he's lost control. This is the craziest thing we've ever seen Fisk do. I mean, he's a monster. But this is pure evil. This is the shit that Thanos did. He literally ran up and he just killed people. Like, this is not... Well, Wilson Fisk was a calm and composed, for the most part, businessman who was very cutthroat, and then when he needed to get about that action, he was about that action. But he never was just going through a hallway and tossing people against walls and crushing their skulls. Like, he was never doing that. There was isolated incidents of his anger getting way out of control. He slams a dude's head. He slams Adam's head into a pillar. He mauls Adam. He smashes Shit, I forgot the Russian guy's name. I've watched Daredevil 8 times, maybe more, and I forgot the one brother's name. But he smashes his head with a car door, and that's just the surface of what he's done. But he's never run through a hallway and just fucking decked a bunch of guys and killed them on the spot, on cameras, in front of Matt. This has just never happened before. This is a new level of Fisk brutality, and you mean to tell me that seeing that for the first time, Matt, this is the one time in a meeting they have where they're both geared up and they don't even really fight at all? He's just like, yo, take the deal, bruh. You take the deal. I'm sick of this cycle. Just take the deal. What? This is ridiculous. He should have at least put a wailing on him like he did when he was crashing the wedding. There's no way. I didn't like that, and what I didn't like even more was how, like I said, even though thematically it was cool, he's free, but he's technically in prison. The prison is his mind, and the fact that he can't be where he loves. That's a cool idea, but it makes no logical legal sense, especially because the deal was offered before he went into a hallway and just started massacring people. And also, because the rest of the stuff, I think they said he was convicted on 5 RICOs. That's 5 life sentences, plus everything else now that he has been, trafficking guns and doing whatever he does in Born Again. That's another problem with the show, is that the main characters are the least important things. Bullseye has always been the coolest guy, but he's not the main character, which is shocking that he is the most popular guy. I would think that the Daredevil marks would be on Daredevil still so much that Bullseye would not be the most popular guy. But here we are. Bullseye is the man. That's who people want to see. It's just him. But even though I love him, it doesn't really make sense. The main character is Daredevil. The main enemy, the main antagonist is Fisk, and people are talking about that. They're talking about Bullseye strutting like this. That's what they're talking about. So I mean, it's cool, but you shot yourself in the foot because your most important character, the show is named after Daredevil, and he's like the least important figure in the whole story, and that's truly unfortunate. See, that's why I gotta have some kind of a script, because I forgot where I was going. I've been trying to be thoughtful about my tirades that I go off of in the middle of the main tirade, but I've lost where I was coming from this time. I don't remember what I was talking about before I diverted to that. Oh, whatever. Yeah, that right. So I wasn't paying attention to the crimes that Fisk is committing because he's not. It's not interesting in the show. Like, I mean, he's like interesting, but he like compared to some other characters that we haven't seen enough of. I've seen enough of Fisk. This is the 5th season where Wilson Fisk is a big bad character. I'm sick of it. I love the first 2 instances of this, and I loved him in season 2 in his short appearances. But since then, the character should have been done, but they brought him back because of viewership. They wanted to hook people in. But I haven't cared about him since they brought him back. The whole Mayor Fisk thing doesn't make any sense how it's possible, especially if you're keeping the lore. It should not be possible at all, and they basically do nothing to explain how it's possible at all. They don't explain how he got acquitted because there's no possible way they could truly explain how he got acquitted and have it make sense. It's just not possible that they could explain that. So they just didn't. They did a throwaway line with Vanessa talking to Bullseye, and that was it. So, and then they left it there. They just left it there. So I would say that I'm not paying attention to Fisk because they're not giving me a reason to. And so that I couldn't tell you what the additional crimes were that he may have been convicted on, and that he's getting this deal for. Because I guess you double jeopardy, so they're not considering the RICO cases. So say they're giving him a sweetheart deal for just the trafficking and whatever else they caught him with doing in this recent season and the last one. Then okay, sweetheart deal kind of makes sense. I think I just made a good point. Okay, so it does make legal sense this time around how he can get a sweetheart deal before he then goes out and kills a bunch of people in a hallway on camera in front of hundreds of witnesses. After that happens, there's absolutely no way Matt should be just like not even fighting him, not even being enraged, just telling him to take the deal. There's absolutely no goddamn way that should happen. So that part is bad. Now, the sweetheart deal, before that happens, if it's just smuggling, okay, because double jeopardy, you're not giving him a sweetheart deal for all the RICOs and the murders and whatever he was convicted on before. It's just the trafficking and blah, blah, blah. I've already said it. That part makes sense, but not Matt being okay with him getting a sweetheart deal after he just saw him kill a bunch of people brutally in front of him. And especially not when he knows, like, all the other stuff that he's done. So, yeah. I didn't like that. And by proxy, I also did not like the finale of the show at all. Because it just doesn't make any sense how that deal is possible for Fisk, especially after what he does to all those poor people right before the finale happens and he takes the deal. So, I don't know. I thought that was pretty shitty. And moving on, Heather Glenn, need I say more? It makes no sense. The idea is interesting, but this is a multi-season arc they squeezed into a couple episodes. She hates vigilantes. She becomes a evil vigilante, which is a cool thing, and it's also a cool thing that she would become Muse after the PTSD. That's also a cool idea. However, the setup is not good. There was not enough built up between Muse and Heather Glenn in season 1 because they just didn't do any therapy sessions until the final one, which then had Muse come to his untimely and anticlimactic end. So that wasn't very interesting. So the pre-established context it's not there. We don't know how close or how in the mind of Muse that she was before he attacked her. We don't know any of that, and she also hates vigilantes, so the idea of her pushing that to the side and joining Fisk, which is another thing, but that's been talked about at length because it happened in season 1, and I'm not going to delve into that too much. It's bullshit. She should have been more wary about it, especially when she was doing couples therapy with Fisk, and she was afraid that he was a domestic abuser. So, yeah. And so her becoming Muse, a cool idea in theory, but it needed to be longer, and it's just so. Well, the way I considered it, it was like it's how wrestling stories play out, where you sprinkle a couple of things here and there in this long 3-hour show for all these individual wrestlers, because you can't just spotlight one wrestler all the time because you have hundreds of people on the payroll, so you got to sprinkle in their stories, and so there's less context and less background stuff that happens generally before a big payoff, and it's generally more accepted because of just how many people are on the payroll, how many people need to be booked and showcased. So the payoffs, they come faster, and people are okay with that just because that's how the business has to go. That is not how the business has to go for Daredevil Born Again, because especially they renewed it for 3 seasons before the second season was even wrapped filming. So you know they have the time, they have the money, and they have the fan backing and the Kevin Feige stamp of approval to keep it going for as long as they need to build that up and make it truly worth the time invested and have it make more sense, therefore, by the amount of time that's invested in it. But they're just not doing that. They're just doing the wrestling type thing where you sprinkle a little bit here and then you bang, big payoff, except they don't have the explanation of why that happens here, because it's a TV show. They have months and years and more seasons and hour-long episodes that can come after that could build this up more, and they have the freedom to dedicate this and build in a bunch of different scenes, whereas we're talking about a live TV show with a bunch, like hundreds of characters that need to get their time in. And even though I talk about there's too many damn characters in Born Again, there's still not too many to not give her more time to build that up. So that's stupid. We're going to leave that at that. And the second big topic is the leaks that came out about the cast of the 3rd season. So people who haven't seen the leaks, this is a spoiler. If you don't want to know everybody who's in the next season, there's 2 returning characters. You saw one in the finale, I'm assuming, if you watched it. If you didn't, then I don't know why you're watching this damn video, because I've spoiled everything already, so why are you here? But there is a second one, and those of you eagle-eyed people might have noticed they have 3 of the 4 Defenders back from the Netflix era. And those of you who didn't know this already, I gave you the time to click off of this video. There have been set photos that confirm that Finn Jones, the actor for Iron Fist, will also be in the product for the 3rd season. Now, this is the only actor and the only character that people did not really want back, and that's not... There's a lot to unpack there. That's because the show was generally worse than the rest of them. And while Daredevil was the only truly great and amazing show, the Jessica Jones and Luke Cage shows, they had their moments. Especially Luke Cage, the first half of Luke Cage season 1, that was amazing, and then it quickly falls off. But like I said, it has its moments, and the complaint was never the character of Luke Cage or the acting. It was more the story that happens around Luke Cage, and that's the same thing for Jessica Jones. The acting and the persona of Kristen Ritter in the Jessica Jones uniform and playing the character with the supporting cast makes sense. It was great, and she had great chemistry with all the other people in the Defenders. Which brings us to the 4th instance, which was Finn Jones. And the only reason that people are hesitant to accept him back, or just don't want him back, is because not only was the show bad, but the character was terrible. And when the character is terrible, there's a couple of things to point at. First, there's the writers, and then, for those of you who don't pay attention to all the writing, it's the actor. And the hate falls on the actor, which is obviously Finn Jones. Now, Finn Jones, to me, was never the problem with Iron Fist. And I feel like a lot of people are stepping up and defending him now because that's what has to happen. Finn Jones is not a bad actor. In fact, Finn Jones wasn't even a bad Iron Fist. It was the writing of the show that was just terrible. It didn't do him any kind of justice. The character and the actor can only be as good as the writer's room. And the writer's room for Iron Fist, dog shit. They had his moments, and in those moments, you can see what I see with Finn Jones is that he's actually a phenomenal actor, and he embodies this character very well. And he did, for a person who wasn't able to learn the choreography for the first season in time because they had to rush it out. I mean, he handled it like a champ, and especially when he had the time for season 2 and he got in the gym and he got on the MMA mats and he learned this martial arts style to make a smoother fighting sequence happen here and there in season 2. That is dedication, and that proves to me that he cared about this character, and not only that, that he has the capacity to maximize this character's potential with a better writer's room. Now, the writer's room of Daredevil Born Again, as we just discussed, is not the greatest. And that's the writer's room he's going to be having to deal with. But, like I said, Season 2 was generally better than Season 1. So, there is going to be moments where Iron Fist is there, where he should have more of those moments, and Finn Jones will get the opportunity to prove himself wrong. But my thing is with him, and the reason why I don't understand the hate at all, is for a character... The character is hated on because he's consistently immature, and there's moments and story beats where he should be maturing and getting better and more suited into his role. And like I said, the fight scenes in the first season were just not good because they didn't give him the choreography or the time to learn the choreography. And he didn't have any prior experience with that, so he wasn't able to truly do what they were asking of him. And so they had to cushion it, and a lot of the fight scenes are pretty poor and choppy and just nothing compared to the other shows, especially not Daredevil. So that was the main complaint, was that this character is not developing, even though the story is telling us he should be. And he becomes the center of the Defenders, and the reason that the Defenders even are close to losing and Matt ends up almost dying is because he's an idiot and activates the Iron Fist while fighting somebody in the basement. I say in the basement, but it was like 100,000 feet under 100,000 feet. That's a bit fucking crazy. It's like a mile underground, maybe a little bit deeper. He activates the Iron Fist like a moron, which is the one thing they need to open it, and he knows that's the one thing they need to unlock whatever is going down here, and he still chooses to try and use it to fight this girl who has already gotten the best of him. Elektra has already beat him, and he tries to use the fist, which is stupid, and it is stupid, and it's a character decision, especially after the first season, where his whole thing is that he's growing up after he made the irresponsible decision to become the protector of Kunlun and then just abandoned it to go back home. And he goes through this whole arc where the guilt gets to him, and he sees the hand is in New York, and he sees that there's people there, and at one point he's just like, we need to shut it all down. I need to take all of them down. And then he realizes that that these people are being manipulated, that they're not willing soldiers and they're not murderers and killers like he'd been taught. And so he goes through that emotional arc, and it makes sense, and he saves not only Colleen but everybody else. And not just because he is romantically interested in Colleen, but because he sees that he was wrong. And so when that happens, the character is supposed to continue to be more cautious and open-minded, and of course be more mature about all the situations that follow, except that's not what happens. And the entirety of Defenders, he's just more immature, he's got anger issues, he's fighting Matt and the rest of the group, and then of course the reason that Matt is crushed by a building and that they almost lose to the hand in the first place is because he gets caught because he goes out on his own, he gets stick killed, and then he opens the vault because he's a dumbass and activates the one thing that they need to open I keep saying vault, but it's not, to open the ancient tomb that's underneath the ground. Which is, A lackluster decision, especially if you know that the key is you and you activate the one thing. You like basically dangle the key in front of the enemy with super speed. Like they're gonna get it. They're gonna get the key and they're gonna unlock the door. Like that's practically what he does. Which is not a decision for a character that is supposed to have matured after his first season, and even worse is that it continued to be immature and he continued to make bashful and angered decisions in season 2. And so the character was just terrible, and there was no development. But the thing that I have to say for Finn Jones is, for a character to be consistently inconsistent and to consistently seem immature even though the story is telling you that he should be more mature, the actor has to be good to convey that immaturity. And he is good, and he does convey that immaturity, which is why everyone complains about it, because he is such a good actor at acting immaturely, but the character shouldn't be immature. But he's a fantastic actor. And so I just have to say that I think that it's a great decision to bring him back, to give him a redemption arc and a better character. And while the rest of Iron Fist wasn't that great, and I do like I like a lot of the very, very beginning of the Iron Fist show, the first season, first 3 or 4 episodes. I really like those ones. And then after that, I don't like anything else for the most part until the very end of the show, where he's with Ward in some Asian country. I forgot. I think he's in Japan, and he pulls out 2 guns and he uses the chi on the guns and he fires chi bullets. And Ward is with them, and they got a brotherly bond. And Colleen is back in New York, and she has the Iron Fist too, and it lights up a katana. Like, that's really cool. That's cool shit. And I wanted to see more of that, and that's what it should have been. And then, of course, there's the Heroes for Hire crossover episode with Luke Cage, which is great. And the chemistry between him and Mike Coulter, which... chemistry is not something that actors always can have. And when their characters are meant to have chemistry and are meant to work together, you need them to be believable as a duo, and that's exactly what they are in the Heroes for Hire crossover episode. And it was amazing. And of course, also in the Defenders, he meshed well with the other actors. What I liked about the Defenders so much is that while the story and the action wasn't as great, the banter between the characters and the Red Dragon, I don't remember what it was called. That's a wrestling team, but they're in the dragon thing, a restaurant, and they're just sitting there, and for 30 minutes or so of the episode, they're just talking, and they're discussing their backgrounds, and it's I don't know, it's just really enjoyable. And then before that, when he's introduced to Luke Cage, and Colleen and Claire have them sit down together and talk. His chemistry with Mike Coulter comes off the screen. Like, they're amazing together. So, bringing him back, 100% wholeheartedly support it. Like I said, to have a consistently inconsistent character that is consistently immature, even though he shouldn't be immature, you need to have a good actor that conveys that immaturity. And his chemistry alone should be enough of a reason to bring him back. And of course, the final nail in the coffin for that is that he was not given the proper time to prepare for this first season. But for the second season, even though the first season didn't do too well, he immediately got to work once he knew he had the time, and he was much better. And they didn't have to cushion the fight scenes as much, and he did a great favor to the studio and to the character itself. So I think that's great. Now, the issue is that the Defenders shouldn't all be in the show. Like I said, there's a lot of characters already, and Daredevil is already one of the most neglected characters on the show, even though the title is Daredevil Born Again. So, bringing all the Defenders into one show, there's not enough screen time for that. And now that Fisk is presumably defeated for good, I have no idea who the big bad is going to be of the next season. I feel like it's going to have to do with the movies, so we'll see more about that when it gets to there, but it's still a scary situation because there's a lot of characters from Daredevil Born Again, and they're still adding more, and not only are they adding more, but they're actually adding characters that people want to see more of, like Brett Mahoney, like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and of course now the Iron Fist. At least in my case, I want to see more of him. And the issue is that I want to see so much more of them because I didn't get enough of them before, that I'm not as interested when Daredevil's on the screen, even though his name is the title. So that's an issue. We'll have to revisit that once the third season is closer or after it's done. Maybe I'll make another video. This one is very unprofessional because the last one was just a long, grueling editing process, and this is a lot easier to just sit here and talk straight from the heart. No script, just a couple of prepared points in my head. Very minimal editing here. And thank you. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I'm going to do more videos like this because this is a lot easier, and it's a lot better for who I am and all the ideas I have in my head. And I don't feel like I have to overproduce this. It feels very straight from the heart and very real. So I like this style of video. I might do more of this kind of stuff. But thank you for watching, and I hope that you agree with what I said. But if you don't, you should agree with it. So rewatch the video.